Today I'm going to talk to you about an issue that means a lot to me. It's an epidemic that began here in the United States and has since spread almost worldwide. In the beginning, its victims were mostly young girls, but now it affects even adults. The epidemic that I want to talk to you today about is the Twilight epidemic. The Twilight Phenomenon is a continuously growing issue in our society today that threatens to destroy the work of great authors, great feminists, and great love stories throughout history. I know a lot of you in here have probably read the books or seen the movies or at least know what it's about. And if you don't, it's a girl named Bella who is the heroine of the story, and her vampire boyfriend Edward, and her werewolf friend Jacob. Now, for those of you who are thinking right now, what does this have to do with me? Guys especially. I don't like Twilight anyway. Well, after this, it's my hope that you will have the tools that you need to keep yourself from being drugged to the next movie. So today I'm going to tell you about the terrible writing style of Stephenie Meyer, the horrible role model that Bella presents, and the general unhealthy love story in the Twilight saga. First, the writing style. First, character development. Who in here has read the books? Read the books, right? What are Bella's hobbies? What are her interests?
I didn't come across me that she had any interests.
Besides Edward, she doesn't have any
Well, besides
interests?
Edward.
Besides her boyfriend in high school, she doesn't. Okay. So characters don't really develop. They're pretty much static. And this is a book that was on the bestseller list for 235 weeks. The writing style is very repetitious. We hear over and over again about how the characters glare at each other and grimace at each other. That's all they ever do, they glare. And Edward is described over and over again as having a velvety voice and marble skin. You would think after 4 books the woman would buy a thesaurus. But a lot of people say, well, it's just like Harry Potter. Well, Stephen King, author of over 50 best-selling thriller novels, had something to say about this. He says, Harry Potter is about confronting fears, finding inner strength, and doing what's right in the face of adversity. Twilight is about how important it is to have a boyfriend. He also adds, Stephenie Meyer can't write with a damn. She's not very good. And what's worse, Stephenie Meyer agrees with him when she quotes herself and says, I'm not a professional, I'm still just an amateur. So now that me and Stephen King have told you about the horrible writing style of Stephenie Meyer, I'm going to tell you about the role model and the heroine, Bella. As we've discussed, she has no hobbies, she has no interests. She is actually willing to give up everything in her life for her boyfriend. She's willing to give up her life with her family and never see her family again. She's willing to give up her friends, and she does not have any desire to be educated or go to college if it will separate her from her boyfriend. She even says, I'm here, which roughly translated means I would rather die than stay away from you. Willing to give up her life at 17 for her boyfriend. Christine Seifert, professional writing professor at Westminster, says, neither character has much to offer outside the initial high school romantic storyline. Bella doesn't have any interests or hobbies, nor is she particularly engaged in the world around her. Also, there is the underlying, overlying theme that Bella is just not good enough for Edward. She says, you've given me you. That's already more than I deserve. Which leads into the next point, now that I've told you about the horrible role model that she's presenting. The unhealthy relationship that is the love story. Their relationship's obviously unfounded. They have nothing in common. How can they have anything in common when Bella herself has no interests? We've discussed she doesn't have any interests, so how can they have any interests in common? But yet they're soulmates. That's an argument a lot of people use. Well, the reason that she's willing to give up everything is because they're soulmates. How can you be soulmates with someone that you only ever talk about how good they look? That's what their relationship is based on. His looks and how good she smells. It's like being in love with brownies that you can't eat. Their relationship is unhealthy and abusive. Holly McKay, a journalist for Fox News, says, Edward and Bella's relationship raises a number of red flags laid out by the National Domestic Violence Hotline, including, does your partner control what you do, who you see or talk to, or where you go? And also, does your partner accuse you of cheating or is jealous of your outside relationships? When you look at the National Domestic Violence Hotline's list of 15 warning signs that you're in an abusive relationship, their relationship meets all 15. Every single one. And this is a relationship that is being idealized by young girls and even older women everywhere. Then we come to the awkward subject of the sexual relationship between Bella and Edward. After their first time having sex, she wakes up bruised and feels like all the joints in her body have come unhinged. She is sore, and she tries to hide this from Edward because she doesn't want him to feel bad. At one point, he takes the motor out of her car, he locks her in her room, he has his sister kidnap her for an entire weekend, all because he doesn't want her to see her friend Jacob, because he is jealous. She then justifies these actions. She says he's just a little overprotective, and that he only does it because he loves me. This is about as textbook abuse as it gets. Next, we're going to come to the creepy topic of the age difference that everyone seems to overlook. Now, these novels and movies are set in present-day times. Edward was born in 1901, which, do the simple math here, he's over 100 years old. When they meet, Bella is 17. You thought Hugh Hefner was bad. That is a big age difference. And everyone's going to refute this and say, well, but he's still trapped in the body of an 18-year-old. But he's not trapped in the mind of an 18-year-old. And that's the overlying thing, is that everything seems to be so focused on the outside, his body. Well, what about the fact that he's mentally more mature than a 17-year-old girl? So now that I've told you about the horrible writing style of Stephenie Meyer, the unhealthy relationship, and the horrible role model that Bella represents, I just want to say, next time you see someone reading one of the Twilight books, or watching one of the movies, or even overhear a gaggle of girls debating over whether they will marry Jacob or Edward, run! You do not want to catch the Twilight fever. Thank you. Woo.